Okay, well, let's get started. So again, appreciate everybody jumping on board. And unusual for me, it's so wonderful to be joining you all for the first time on location in Israel. I'm here at the Kinneret Innovation Center with Elad Shamir, our guest presenter, who I will introduce in just a moment. But I just wanted to give you a quick update on my time spent so far in Israel. I arrived here on Monday evening. And I've spent the last 2 days traveling in the south from early morning till late at night. And what I can say to you is that I have simply been overwhelmed by the determination of the communities and the people that I've met. Of course, this is against a backdrop of some uncertainty. We've got challenges. We still have bodies in Gaza that we will not rest until they're returned. But even against that, the what I've witnessed in even in the last 6 months since my last visit is truly inspiring. There is no other words, other than a few communities that we know who are yet to return. They need to be demolished, razed to the ground, and rebuilt. The vast majorities of the communities, certainly in the south, have returned. What's even more encouraging is that in many of these communities, 70 to 90 and even 98% was one of the ones I saw yesterday of the residents are actually already back. And what's even more inspiring is that everyone that I visited have waiting lists. And the only reason they cannot bring more people to their communities is they simply don't have the accommodation yet available. And that again, I think what we're witnessing here is the new pioneers, those who understand why it is so important that we bolster these communities. And again, that is something that surprised even me in terms of just how many people are waiting to get into these communities. And that's really part of what we're all doing here together with you as JNF, is to drive population growth and economic growth for these border communities, either in the south or in the north. And what we've seen is over the last 2 years and recently in our annual campaign, together, you and JNF, we've supported over 70, almost 80 projects now directly. Facilities, infrastructure, green spaces, programs, again, all because of you. You are such a big part of Israel's rebirth and renewal, and I saw that firsthand in every community that I went to. So again, your impact is profound, and on behalf of JNF and behalf of all of them, I wanted to thank you. And speaking of driving economic and population growth, and speaking of impact, we are also evolving. JNF is evolving as an organization. We're not just about providing local impact through these community projects that I've just mentioned, but now, very excitingly, through our new innovation, which is known as JNF Innovation. What is it? Very simply, we're embarking on new and exciting initiatives which are going to have local, national, and global impact. And it's really the story of JNF. As we did 100 years ago, we used innovative methods to turn swamps and desert into thriving communities, ensuring the future strength of Israel. So too today, we're doing exactly the same thing through our investment and support of Israel Innovation. And JNF is heavily supporting and investing in this innovation ecosystem across agri and water, green, environment, and medical tech. We have already supported over 4 major innovation centers in the Shara Negev region, Ramat HaNegev, Soroka Hospital, and Kinneret Innovation Center, which is where we're here today, and more to follow. And on that note, and I'll come back afterwards and share some other updates with you and exciting new initiatives, it gives me absolute pleasure to introduce Elad, who is part of our 4th major project of JNF, the founder and the CEO of the Kinneret Innovation Center, who is also a mentor to many CEOs. He's going to share his vision on how innovation is driving growth in Israel's north and beyond. And as I mentioned before, please, any questions that you've got, place them in the chat, and we'd be happy to answer those. As I said, this is really the meaningful part of the conversation. Elad, toda, thank you. It's wonderful to be here with you, and I hand over to you to share some words.
First of all, thank you for having me and obviously being partners with our objectives and vision. And initiatives. Um, and thank you for being, there's I spent 400 days in combat this past 2 years. I'm a colonel in the Special Forces, the reserve duty, and there's nothing more important for the communities to know that somebody has your back. It's something that in everyday life you don't pay attention to, but knowing that you have somebody that have your back, like JNF Australia, like our local partners, like individuals like Tatar and etc. It just warms your heart and gives you a lot of energy and enthusiasm. So thank you very much for that. Just the concept that somebody has your back when you're in a bad spot. And two words about myself. I'm 44, 4 kids. My wife is a doctor. We live in up north in the Israel Valley. And 8 years ago, a really amazing gentleman approached me, Kalman Kaufman. Kalman is one of the forefathers of the high tech in Israel. He built KLA, Tower Semiconductors. He was a VP in applied materials for the growth period of applied materials. Here in Israel, he's been volunteering in Kinneret Academic College for the past 20 years or so. And 8 years ago, when he approached me, he said, listen, this area is full of great people, really amazing potential in terms of human capital. They established farming communities, the most innovative and smart agriculture communities in the world, because small pieces of land, no water, the labor is very, very costly. This whole area was swamplands not long ago, and they've established a really flourishing community and economy based upon agriculture in the north. And in the academic college, they've established a college, 5,000 students with 5 faculties for engineering. But basically, and in Israel, this area suffers not from lack of employment, because it's 95% employment rate. So everybody has a job, but very low salaries, because most of the economy is based upon agriculture and tourism. So having said that, it means that the younger generation and the students that come to study engineering, they don't have a place to work within their profession, so they leave. So basically, they constructed a very flourishing community that doesn't allow the young generation to flourish. So we decided to establish the engine of growth, a national engine of growth in Israel, in northern Israel, that will allow the younger generation to have a future as entrepreneurs, as technological engineers, and with this national scope, we said, okay, if we want to establish 4,000, 10,000 new quality, high-tech positions, how do we approach it? With this Zionistic vision, but the methods has to be different than what used to happen here. And so we've decided to open the full ecosystem under one roof, and to bring together all the major anchors, major players in the region, the academia, the agriculture industry, as partners in a venture that has a Zionistic vision, but let's say unorthodox methods. And we went and we wanted to understand what's happening around the world, what happened in Palo Alto, in Singapore, in Holland, around Buckingham University, and also in Israel, what happened in the south surrounding the cyber and Beersheba University or the food tech in Tel Chai. And we had three major decisions that shaped our vision. One is to do a grassroots. Second is all about partnership. We're not building something out of nothing. We're building something out of something. 120 years of knowledge, know-how, technological innovation within the academia and within the industry. And we have to leverage those assets and knowledge into the next level of technology building, high tech, startups development, etc. And when we wanted to establish this vision, we said, okay, what's the missing piece? What's missing? Funds, VCs, entrepreneurs, technological partnerships. What's missing? Education. And we saw that, let's say, the baseline for a low-tech industry and agriculture industry, everything is really, really good, let's say, in a good position in terms of a global comparison. But for high tech, there's nothing. So we decided to build everything from education, entrepreneurship, supporting startups, working with the agriculture communities and the agriculture industries to push forward new technologies, to establish new partnerships with global effects, because you cannot create growth without bringing something new to the table in terms of global solutions for global problems. And for the past 7.5 years, we established KIC in August 18. We've been working on establishing the full ecosystem under one roof with big partnerships, and the shareholders here are the academia, the Tzemach Industries, which is a cooperative managing a third of the agriculture communities in Israel, and their owners are the communities, the kibbutzim and the moshavim. So they, with KIC, had a bigger vision of not only providing great agriculture economics, but also growth and strategic growth economically. And in 2021, we offered Kakal to join us as partners, not as philanthropical donations, be partners of ours. This is a Zionistic national engine, and you have to be part of it. And they said yes. And the building that's here, it's the building that Doron and I are sitting in right now. We transformed a gigantic warehouse that was bankrupt for 15 years, deserted, full of dump, and we transformed it into the biggest R&D and innovation center in Israel for climate solutions, ag tech and water tech, with 3,000 meters of labs with the academia, and 3,000 meters for high tech and startups and all our activities. And the philosophy is that everybody meet, the pupils, the farmers, the startups, the venture capital, the philanthropical arms, and the communities, everybody meet in one place that breaks the barriers between really within the communities here. And last but not least, we've opened the door through JNF and others to build bridges with the world, from Canada and United States and Holland and the Emirates and Morocco and South Africa and obviously Australia, to build bridges between people that can invest, that can create new technologies, etc. We've just finished very, very rough 2 years, but very successful ones in terms of when you build a venture, well, everything is nicey daisy, you say, right? There's a saying in Australia, something like that, nicey daisy or something like that. So everything goes, and you take risks, and sometimes you lose, sometimes you succeed. But now with the 7th of October, in the 7th of October, where I remember at the evening, I jumped to the Otef immediately, started fighting and recruiting a brigade. And in the evening, I made a phone call to the members of the board with Kakal and Tzemach and the academia, Kinneret Academic College. And I said, listen, I'm going for 100 days. This is a full-time war. I'm not here. These are the goals. We're gonna be relevant. It's gonna open in the north, and KIC will be a standing post for the economic and support for the communities in the north, because we understood that Lebanon will open soon, and that's what happened. And from that, there a very, very crazy 2 years with me serving for 400 days or so. But it proved to us that the vision was right. The culture within KIC functioned amazingly, because the concept was, and let's say the strategic decision that I made that day is that we're not gonna fire anybody, and we're gonna continue building this place and supporting our startups and communities and agriculture project, and we will really be a home for the innovation of the North, because it's gonna be hurt as hell, and that's what happened, and we're fishing. The war is not over, but we feel very, very strong after this war. We opened within 24 hours. Anat Vexer, who is the COO here, and she took over. And we found ourselves opening schools for 800 pupils coming from Kiryat Shmona in northern Israel within 24 hours. So the secretary was a teacher, everybody here, and really recruited to support the communities coming from the north. And this area of the Kinneret really supported it with great resilience and great partnerships, and let's say the mechanism worked, the trust worked, the partnership was very strong. Kakal had continued to support us really, really generously, and as partners do. And so we come out strong. There's a lot of challenges. Northern Israel was struck very hard in terms of economics and also agriculture. A lot of agricultural land was burnt. 96% of all high tech and startups left, because all the northern border was evacuated in 8th of October, 9th of October. And they will not come back so easily. We have to build trust with the communities, with the economic communities, with the entrepreneurs and the investors, and also the industries that were our partners and supported startups and pilot sites, etc. Now they're struggling themselves. So it will be a tough 2 years, but as we see let's say the graphs, we think that 26, 27 will be years of growth, great growth and success for sure in the north. As you said, in the south, great regrowing and rebuilding in the community. You just came back from there. And this is what we see also in the north. And with that positive incline of residents coming back and opportunities coming back and new partnerships, and the communities in the diaspora came to our aid really amazingly. I think there's a great future for the next 2 years or so. So I think I'll stop here.
Great. Thank you, Elad. Firstly, thank you for not only protecting us now. I know that you literally just got out of reserve duty, and the war is still on, and we're hoping that it is drawing to some kind of end for now. But I'm sure activities will continue. So thank you for the strength in protecting Israel now, and of course, while keeping an eye and a vision for the future. And I think really this is something that we all want to hear, us in the diaspora, and we think about what's going to be, what does next year hold, and to hear your words of encouragement. And again, the determination that I've seen reflected in everyone that I've met truly empowers us to believe and to continue our support and play our role. One of the expressions I heard many times in the South was tikva and emunah, hope and faith. But I think in addition to hope and faith, we need action. And I think that is what we see at these through your initiatives and the kinds of activities that you're undertaking. You mentioned briefly collaboration. What we have seen, certainly we get a very kind of I don't know whether it's polarized or whether it's slanted, whatever you want to call it, a view when we watch media in Australia. And for all intents and purposes, Israel has become isolated, marginalized over the last 2 years, and the world has literally, disappeared for Israel. Yet when I've been here and I've spoken to many people, and they keep on mentioning collaboration and conversations they're having around the world. Can you just a little bit more about the kinds of activities, the direct collaboration that you're having with either regional or around the world, and what that's looking like, and if it's starting to increase in activity and connection?
At the end, your friends are your friends. As an individual, as a state, as a community, when you build real partnerships and real friendship that are based on trust and truth, all this slander in the media, it's nothing. These are the people that hated us before that. Obviously, there's a big crowd of that don't really care. I just came back from a small vacation in Italy, and everybody said, Italy, if everybody's pro-Palestinian, I don't know what. We saw a couple of flags in Milano, and most people that heard us speak Hebrew stopped and said, carry on, you go. So there's a big difference, I think, between what's echoing in the media and what's happening. So regarding real collaborations, and let's say hope, when we opened this place, this humongous innovation park, it's the first building out of 6 that we're planning to plant and build here. And it's a collaboration between Kakad, the academic college, and Tzemach Industries, and everybody said during the work it will be a a white elephant. Nobody will come there. We opened it in April. We initiated it in September. Now it's full 85%. Why? Because we established collaborations with great companies and organizations. Let's take, for example, Parallel Wireless. Parallel Wireless is a global company dealing with telecom and cyber, and they're working with the agriculture world, etc. And through a collaboration with us, we engaged in a tender with India, and they opened here 70 new positions for engineers. They could have done it anywhere else in the world, but they said, here, Kinneret, we're going to grow this. They had 2 teams here, something like 15 employees, and said, no, this place will be our R&D center in the world. Why? Not because it's pretty, because we believe in that collaboration that supports us with KIC and its partners. And we started a collaboration with another philanthropical initiative, really interesting, Rig Road, of the Vulcani Institute. They wanted to regrow plantations, and they approached us and said, okay, how do we support innovative agriculture? And we just finished supporting in the south 2 really big projects. We do it voluntarily, obviously, and we connected the Afimilk, which is a company here doing it's a high-tech company dealing with dairy, and they're going to open a robotic dairy farm with 10 million shekels in Iros. Amazing. I think with Canada, we had a delegation coming here from Canada with I think the biggest investors in climate technologies in Canada and North America, coming here with 2 buses with a Climate Solution Prize mission. Amazing people, Jeff Hart and Galit Levy, and they came here. And it was really interesting to see the difference in how, when you see the people like you saw yesterday, the difference between what you hear and feel when you're abroad and when you're here and you're approaching the real problems and real people. And they I think supported 7 startups dealing with climate tech in the peripheries, I think with $3 million or so, that literally people said, I'm on this one. I'll take this one. I'm going to support you. I'm going to take you abroad and open a new line of products in Canada. I will support you this. I'm going to be your mentor. It was really heartwarming. And I think something that we thought a lot about, and we spoke about it for the past 3 years or so, I think it's a 2-way street. It's friendship and relationship is a 2-way street. It's not we're getting supported and we're doing great things to Israel. I think, and we aim to support ventures that will have the ability to create bridges. Let's take, for example, supporting through Kakad. We have an accelerator program, the biggest accelerator program in Israel for climate technologies. And one of the startups is Bifri Agro. It's a startup dealing with cattle. Basically it's a hover it's a cowboy, but with a hover. Really interesting with AI, and it's doing everything automatically. And through the connections, he went and I think he also closed the deal with Australia, with the cattle in Australia. They need some cowboys over there, right? And so with these initiatives, you create bridges with real people, real problems, and the media and the protests, they can protest. But, life goes on, and real people, you do business, you do initiatives, you carry on with what you got. And there's so many good people. And the guys that are marching on the street, I don't know what, other than effect of fear, they're not the people that are building stuff or making stuff or supporting stuff. They're shouting on the street. It's okay to shout. And this is my perspective of it.
Thank you, and I'd like to believe the same, and I think it's right. You mentioned trust and truth, and your friends are your friends. But I think even when you're not so friendly and you bring a benefit, then people stand up and wake up and say, you know what? I didn't think they were such good people, but now if this is the kind of benefit they bring, and if we talk about addressing, solutions, creating solutions for global problems, all of a sudden people become a little bit more friendly. And like you, whether it's it's just naive enthusiasm and being positive. But I agree. I think that it has been challenging 2 years, but over the next 2 years and certainly beyond, that more and more of these partnerships will evolve, especially when we start to bring benefits that you mentioned a couple of places I saw in the South, and they too mentioned that they'd just spoken to you. So that was a lovely moment when I knew that certainly JNF, of two of the centers that we've involved in, are both mentioning each other. I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you about that with the collaboration internally within Israel, because it just so happened they mentioned a solution they're developing and said, oh, in actual fact, KIC assisted us. Is there an ongoing platforms, collaborations internally within Israel, given similar challenges, be it geographic, be it agriculture, whatever it might be? Explain a little bit how that works.
There's obviously there's relationships between within the ecosystem, let's say.
Yeah.
Um, I think the real collaborations comes when either there's a need for collaboration in terms of fundraising or invest together because the projects are very big, or you need a specific expertise that you don't have, and then you share knowledge, etc. And also the visions are quite similar in terms of the values that we want to support, because you want to support the future of Israel in the Kinneret, in the Galilee, in the Negev, or in the Otef Aza. It's the same. But having said that, the peripheries of Israel had been suffering for years of lack of resources. Sometimes for good reason, because there's not a lot of population, etc., etc., and they're not in the centrum of Jerusalem, like Tel Aviv, etc. But for quite a couple of decades, resources were scarce. And when resources are scarce, everybody's fighting for scraps. And it's hard under those conditions to come together. It's a simple fact. And also the way that when we established KIC, the first act that I've done, I went to Kiryat Shmona, because they've been doing food tech for like 10 years before that. And I said, what's up? Why you had great vision? What was the strategy, and what happened so far? And they said, we went top to bottom. We went to the government, we had a legislation, and through that, tenders, etc., etc. And from the first initiative till the first shekel, it took them 13 years. And I said, no way in hell am I going to wait 13 years and going to approach the government for scraps coming from the air. And our approach was, we have enough values, assets, knowledge, and capabilities to start grassroots. We'll do it in baby steps. Let's start. But starting from day one. We didn't know what was an accelerator 8 years ago, and we brought an amazing entrepreneur, just sold his company, said, come here, let's create a program. And 7 years later, I think we have a portfolio of over 80 startups that we work with. We see every startup in Israel in our fields of expertise because they come here through our expertise. And when we didn't wait, we started volunteering. We didn't have enough money to start nothing. So the approach of northern Israel for sure, and also the south, is to wait for the government or tenders. And when everything comes from top to bottom, underneath everybody's fighting for scraps because they're competing on the same resources. If there's a resource for one innovation center, everybody will fight to bring it here. And we said we don't want the government in. We don't want them. We'll do it without them. We have enough power, enough people, enough, and they will become partners of ours after we succeed. And the truth is, in 2003, just in the beginning of the war, the Innovation Authority approached us and said, we want to learn how you did, what is your approach of the one-stop shop and the mechanism of the collaboration and partnerships between it's a PPP, it's a private and public partnership with Kakal, the biggest NGO in Israel, and regional industry, and the academia, each is a different dinosaur. And a year ago, they're starting supporting a sister company that we started with the Golan, with the Machon Shamir, to support technological innovation and high tech in different fields of expertise, not only agriculture, climate, and water, but also cyber and health and others. So our strategy was right.
Jumping there on you mentioned about the portfolio companies. One of the questions that's been asked is, can you explain sort of not only the concept of impact of that company, but if a venture succeeds, explain to those online what actually happens from there. Is it part of your center in terms of an equity, in terms of a return, not only for the entity itself, but for KRC and of course JNF as an investor in the center as well? Just that journey in brief.
Our approach is a bit different than most centers. We focus on the ecosystem. So we have everything. We have a very, very early stage accelerator, and on top of that, a seed program for startups that already and secure the first funding, and with round A's. So these are companies that are starting selling. And with this approach, we can support a startup or an entrepreneur from very early stage, and to support it while he's climbing this ladder and his journey. We understand that obviously most will disappear or collaborate with others, or a bigger company will buy them. But when you start this ecosystem, you have everything, because at the end, a startup is all about talent. These are not companies. These are really talented people that are trying to do something new. And when you have that ecosystem, then you have a couple of hundred entrepreneurs and technological brains, and they're entangled. And we support everybody from really early stage. They need small amounts of money. So we are like friends and family. We brought philanthropical money from ICA, from the Baron Hirsch, to bring them, $10,000, go and create a patent and etc. Or just for really small investments, donations mostly, but to keep them here and to keep them running, and not because otherwise they leave, they go to Tel Aviv. And to the seed round and round days, we decided to first create it's like in early stage, it's still early stage. You need to build trust with investors. And it's not just to say, KIC is supporting them. We have skin in the game, and we bring impact fundings or philanthropical money that we could have, I don't know, do education programs that we have, but with this money, we want to create something else. We want to create growth. We said we have skin in the game. We are investing in basically in safe. Safe is a method that doesn't evaluate too early to the startup, so they can grow and without evaluation yet, and with 20% upside later. But to have skin in the game, that allows us to attract more capital. Our approach to early stage is say, we're not a major player, we're not a VC. Our approach is to allow them and to support those ventures to grow and become real companies with a lot of engineers and have bridges all over the world, but to work here and to increase the economy here and etc. And I spoke about it a lot. So we have skin in the game. And when we have skin in the game, it allows us to attract more companies, more capital coming in. Let's take, for example, we invested or supported startups in 12 investments in the past five years or so. Half of which ended within these 5 years. The rest recruited $100 million. And we invested something like $1 million in 5 years in small amounts and supporting them, etc. But this small amount of money allowed us to attract more capital, which is a lot more, let's say, financial capital, because a VC or a venture capital is interested in doubling its money tenfold. This is not our interest. We want them to grow, but we want them to have a real perspective of being an employer here, a big company here. The exit doesn't mean anything to us. We don't want to have the carry of VC. It's not our interest. Our vision is to allow them the road to success here, and success is building a real company, create a lot of employment, technological employment. This is our vision, and sometimes VCs they think differently. They want
And I guess if there are some returns, they can be put back in, which, as I understand,
sure,
into
everything
the ecosystem.
evergreen,
Yeah.
and also, within a couple of years we will meet that as well. Some of the ventures that will grow and become great successful companies, I'm sure that they wanna invest back. We have one company like that, the Forum Analytics. Forum Analytics started with 2 guys 6 years ago that wanted to find mines in the Golan Heights, meta-analytics of data, etc. And nobody wanted to invest in mine finding. And we pivoted them into creating the Google Under Earth. It's a labyrinth underneath the earth. You buy a plot of land, you don't know what's underneath it, communications and gas and whatever. And basically they're building the Google Under Earth, and they are, I think, their evaluation now is $700 million. 300 employees in Tel Aviv, though, because we were too early and we didn't have enough employees and the backbone of KIC to secure their stay here. So there's only a team here. But last week, one of the founders came back and said, I want to create a new venture. The company, I'm going to build it here. And he just secured 2 offices here and a team of engineers to support his new venture. So it's an ecosystem. You support it in one way. It's not linear, you know. You put money, you have an entrepreneur, it will grow 5% a year. It doesn't work that way. You invest in an ecosystem. Some will fail, some will stay, some will grow, some will leave and come back later. And if we'll have success out of some of our investment and supporting startup, everything goes back into the same mechanism, supporting the next entrepreneur and the next one and the next one.
Well, I can jump on that, Elad, if I can just
Yeah.
interrupt for a second, only because it's an important
Sure.
one. A person has asked in terms of JNF and our involvement, and I just wanted to, and you can assist me with this, but certainly with Kinneret Innovation Center. So JNF has invested in the actual visitor center that you see behind you, which is an incredible place that people can visit. We can, you bring schools. I've seen students here. It's an incredible center, with the researchers. But the other side of that is the impact fund, which is going to be funds utilized to put into startups. And that's exactly, I mentioned in my introduction, in terms of our evolution, is that the investment in these companies, please God, of course, they grow the area. I mentioned population growth and economic growth at the beginning. But if there is some kinds of exits, some kinds of returns, that JNF in itself, it goes back into the JNF ecosystem, so we can redeploy those funds into projects, local projects and JNF projects. So very much in parallel with, I guess, what you're talking about now in terms of your approach and your vision, which is part of what attracted us in the first place.
Yeah, and also when you have a real joint venture, things happen. We don't really know, it's not a lot of money, but it brings us together, and we see entrepreneurs, and some will not fit here. Let's say an amazing entrepreneur doesn't fit here, but you say, you know what? I know somebody from Australia that will be very interested in what we're doing. And only this, this mechanism allows us to connect the dots and build way more than that a designated philanthropical donation can support. Because we're not a big VC. We don't want it. We want to be the catalyst. And we want to do it really, really, with high quality. And we want to invest in really good entrepreneurs that know what they're doing, and to support them with all this ecosystem and with the bridges to Australia and elsewhere that they can enlarge their ventures. And if it will pay back, great. But the real payback is for them to grow here and become successful. And I'm sure when you do good things come to you. And it's a cliche, but it happens. I don't know. It's like Chabad say, you have to put your effort into it. Don't trust on luck, but luck comes when you put your effort into something. So I
There's a
think
question here, Elad, just on they said, can you just give us a couple of examples? So if you got a couple of favorites, just to give us a sense, a taste of what are the kinds of startups that come through here. Maybe, I know agro is a big part.
Yeah.
So maybe just a couple of examples.
Excellent. I'll do it fast. Let's take Agritech. Agritech is a robotic company. The entrepreneur and established 2 robotic companies, very successful ones, one in defense. Most of the robotics in the special forces in Israel and the United States are his robot team. He decided 4 years ago to go back to the north, and he's coming from a farming community. His father is a farmer, and said, "I want to build robotics for agriculture." And I said, "Great, come here." And Semach became his partner, and he's gonna transform agriculture basically with solar panels hovering above the plantations, and with robotics, really accurate robotics. They're gonna transform regular farming into an industrial farming, cutting down on labor because we don't have labor. Nobody has labor in agriculture. It's a big problem. Accuracy and efficiency within the big plantations, because it takes a lot of time and energy, and you lose a lot of money and waste. And this is one agri-tech, amazing startup, dealing with climate and robotics, and they're starting with vineyards right now. Another one, all different area in diabetes. There's an amazing researcher here coming from polymers, and he developed a membrane that is selective, and they developed a syrup that basically you drink it before a big meal, and your body does not absorb sugar. Amazing. And we've been supporting them for the past 4 years or so, and they're starting clinical trials here in Poria Hospital. Amazing. And they're using the labs here, and I think he has like 7 employees so far, raised like $3 million. Let's take another. Biotic are developing biological plastic. Their vision is to replace plastic with biological, very, very cheap biological matter coming from algae, mostly sea algae. Developed a system, and we secured something like $5 million for them to start their new factory. They need a couple more $1 million in order to push it forward, but this started here. Another one is, let's take forest fires, very relevant for Australia. We had 6 years ago, we received a physicist coming to our very, very basic accelerator program, super early stage. He's a doctor in physics, and he said, "I think I know how to build a sensor that will hear the fire starting." I said, "Okay," because today you detect fires through eyesight, either from drones or either satellites, or you see them from the posts, etc. But it's too late because the fire is already it's going. They have enough smoke for that. He said the spark, the initial spark, has a unique sound to it, and he developed a sensor and 5 years ago, and he started, and we supported him slowly. And now he's doing a pilot with the forestry department in Kakal, in 10 different forests in Israel, to see if it works. He has something like 300 sensors all around Israel. It's a pilot of a year, and if it will work, he will receive for sure, the validation from the biggest entity in Israel in forestry. And from there, we can take him abroad to Australia or to Canada, or look at what happened in California last year. Awful. forest fire, and you guys had the forest fire in a couple of years back. Awful. People lost their homes. So it's a tikkun olam, classic tikkun olam, but it's coming from a guy here, and the ecosystem supported so well, so you can establish a technological company here that can take it abroad and save a lot of lives. And I have, like, you need more? Well, I have more.
No, I was just going to say, I think that, again, conscious of time, but what I would do and I could also, I've seen some of them just from walking around, some of the amazing startups that are here. And we walked out into last time, the field, and saw some of the robotics and the solar panels. So I would encourage everyone and anyone, if you are certainly visiting Israel, we would love an opportunity for Elad and his team to host you at not just this innovation center, but as I mentioned, JNF is also involved in innovation centers in the south. Very much a part of our evolution. I mentioned right at the beginning, and in terms of driving and that growth engine for all of Israel. And what I should mention is where all this started, and remiss of me not to do so at the beginning. This all started with the incredible generosity of a man by the name of Alexander Tata Gross, who left a large bequest to JNF. And the visionaries at the time, led by Peter Smaller and Les Rosenfeld, as it so happened, decided to deploy those funds into innovation. And really, that's put us in a position as JNF to really be at the forefront of building Israel, rebuilding, renewal, and rebirth, not just through our philanthropic endeavors, but through these innovation initiatives through places like KIC. So something we are incredibly excited about. We have huge plans for next year. For anyone who's very interested, we have just created a JNF Innovation Committee, bringing on people into JNF, and those who have actually not been involved before, but now with this new initiative have said, absolutely, this is what I would love to be involved in. I've put my email into the chat. We'd like you to be a part of that, play your role in helping us build back Israel, bigger and better than ever before. Because there's so much more that we can talk about. We might even have a second session with this later on with those that are interested. So please reach out to us if you're interested in this, or really any projects for JNF, to our offices, our fundraisers. We're always here to work together for Eretz Israel. So Elad, I really wanted to again thank you for your time, for all that you do, as I said, to directly to protect our people and our land, but of course what you're doing in the sector. Exciting times ahead. I share your optimism. I hope that those online do so as well. I look forward to watching this grow and keeping everyone updated. So again, thank you all for joining, and thank you for your time.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Come and visit. This is your home.